Let's get started with the first and potentially the most important part about Google Forms, how to create one. And you're going to notice potentially, depending on when you're looking at this video, that you may have one or the other types of forms because they just released a brand new Google Forms. If you go over here to Create, you come down here to Form, and you're going to see either something that looks a lot like this with this splash screen that says, hey, new Google Forms ready for you, and you can go through the learn more or get started. But these are some of the basic concepts that are played out in the brand new forms. Or your old forms might actually, when you hit that new button, may look like this. You can see they look drastically different. We're going to see that there are actually some huge changes, but a lot of the same functionalities in just creating a form, sharing it out, and getting responses back from people. You're also going to notice a couple of key differences depending on whether you're using a personal or a school or institutional account. Up here at the top it says, allow users to edit my responses, require that Wisconsin Lutheran College, that's the institution, sign in to view this form, so I can create it specialized just for WLC folks here, and automatically collect respondents with WLC usernames. So I can set any of those to be the default option within this form. And now let me go look at a different form here. This is the brand new form right here. This is the way that it looks, but you'll see that there are still some options up here at the top where I can require somebody from the district to log in, or I can automatically collect respondents information. So you have two of those same exact options. I can also hide this from view right there, which is nice. And if I make a personal one, here's the only difference. That top bar up there does not exist. It's not part of an institution, so I can't check anything off. But that's the basics of what the two different forms look like and how to create a Google form itself. Contrary to a lot of the videos that you may have already seen me do or ones that you may have already gone through, I'm actually not going to take you through the wrapper and the interface just yet. We're going to do that along the way this time because we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and create some questions in the form, because that's what forms are for. So in order to make a form purposeful, you need to realize what it is. A form is a way to produce or create an online or a virtual questionnaire or survey, realistically. And you'll see later on that you can actually convert it and make it into a viable living quiz or test if you want to as well, where it's graded and everything. But for all intents and purposes, all you really need to understand is it's a way that you can create questions and or categories of things that you can receive information on, whether it's from students or parents or coworkers, and that's the beauty of Google Forms. It's really not much like anything else within the Google suite or anything within the Microsoft suite, actually. So if I go up here, the first thing I want to do is just title this, how about New Survey? Here we go, New Survey, and I can write a description for people. Please fill this out. There we go. You may want to tell people it'll take them 5 minutes. You might want to tell them, hey, there's 10 questions and that's it. There's all different types of things that you may want to consider putting in there. And they've pre-populated the first question for you in this Google form so that you can get started rather easily. You can see right here, this is the kind of question, so I can put in whatever I want up here. You can ask whatever someone's favorite color is or what have you. What is your favorite color? There we go. There's what's your favorite color? And now I can give them a help text like, here's my help text, and I can even say, you know what, I want this to be a required question down here at the very bottom, so they have to answer. And in this case, you'll see that the type of question that you have chosen here, or that was pre-populated, is a multiple choice question. But maybe that isn't what you want to give them. In this case, I don't want to type up 100 different colors for them to choose from. I just want them to actually give me an open-ended feedback piece, so I pick right here, multiple choice, and I'm going to say text instead. And now they're going to have a blank in which they can type their favorite color. Maybe it's chartreuse, right? And when you are done, you hit the done button. And there I have my wonderful, easy to look at, easy to understand first question. And this little red asterisk right there actually indicates that that is a required question, which is why you check that right here. So I'm going to hit done again, and you'll notice as I hover over that question, it actually turns gray, which allows me to come back in here and edit that question. I can duplicate that question. I can even trash that question or delete it right here. I'm going to actually come back in here and edit it, and this time though I'm going to say, you know what, I want it to be a multiple choice question. So I go multiple choice, And I do want to give them a couple of options. Red, hit tab, and it jumps down to the next one. I can say blue, tab again, green, and you notice that it just automatically, simply throws in the next option for me. And these little radio buttons next to it just indicate that the person is going to have the option to select from there. And I can even hit these little X buttons over here to eradicate or get rid of those options. Now we have the other option. This is brilliant. Remember how I said you don't want to add every single color? In this case, I can just hit other. So maybe their favorite color is chartreuse, and now they could pick red, green, or blue, or they can type in their own information right here. Now I'm going to make sure it says required question, hit done again, and you can see this is what the question looks like now. This is what the question looks like from here, but I'm actually going to show you some of the different views that you can take a look at from within the Google Forms in just a little bit. How you can see it on the web, how you can share it with some other people. You can peek right now and see that right up there in the corner you actually could go see the live form. In fact, I'll poke it just for a real quick second. This is what it looks like. You see that people can actually type in whatever color they want here and hit submit if they so desire. When you're done, you come back over here to the edit this form in the top right corner, and it brings you right back to your form. You may have already noticed that down here towards the bottom it says add item. You'll also notice way down here at the bottom is the confirmation section that we're going to get to in a second. Don't jump down there quite yet. Just look at the add an item. So I can click add item and it's going to automatically create a text question for me. Or even before I choose what kind, I can hit the little drop down next to it and pick what kind of question I want to create instantly. You can see right here you have about 7 major options: text, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, scales, through grids, all the way down there. Then you have 2 little specialty items at the bottom, which we'll cover here in a second. But this time I'm going to go up here and pick checkboxes. Checkboxes, you can again put in the question at the top, so pick your favorite or pick all of your favorites, because checkboxes actually allow you to pick multiple things instead of just one at a time. So you could say, how many of the following list do you appreciate or like, or what do you want to learn more about? Select as many items as you would like. Pick all the things you like, and then you can give them help again. And down here, now you're going to see I have my options just like before. I could say cars, trains. By the way, enter and tab do exactly the same thing. So I could put in planes and hit tab, and then I could put in trucks and I could hit enter, and it does exactly the same thing. And once again, there's that add other option. In this case, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to make it required, so that when I hit done, now you can see the distinct difference between the two. I don't have my fill in tab here, and I don't have the little red asterisk next to it. So those are the 2 different types of questions that I've created so far, and I'm about to take you through all of the rest of the types of questions so that you can understand how they're used, and we're going to go through them quite fast. So now I'm going to add in paragraph. Paragraph is almost exactly the same, and you can see that you have a paragraph form here that students can actually write a lengthy paragraph if you'd like, and you can see in my help that I can have students write on just about anything they want. I can gather feedback from parents or other administrators in whatever way I want. I can let them just write on if I would like to. I'm going to make it required and hit done. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing, only I'm going to duplicate it this time. I'm going to hit the duplicate button, and you'll see it did the same exact thing. It made everything required. It copied all of the same preferences, but now I might want to change this to a different question. Just hit war, and I can gather feedback that quickly on 2 separate topics, essentially with a couple of clicks of the button. So now I have a grand total of 4 questions. Going to add some more here. We already went with text, paragraph, multiple choice, and checkbox. Let's look at choose from a list. There we go. Now this indicates for you already, you only get to choose one when you do pick from a list, which makes sense. And because of that, I just want to make sure that the people filling out the form understand that right away. And you have the option to add things in just like before. You're going to notice now 2 quick distinct things. One is I don't have the option to do add other, which kind of stinks, but you got to live with it at least at this point. And then the other part, which is fantastic, is even though you're typing within these fields, there's still spell check. See that? Football, it realizes that I don't know how to spell, put the next L in there, and it is happy. So it will spell check for you as you begin to develop these things. Again, you can require or not, hit done, and there you have your drop down, which looks like this. And I'm going to go to the live form view so that you can take a look at what it looks like from this end. You can see right here that you have to pick your favorite thing. You pick from the drop down, and once you've chosen it, it will fill in and let you see what you've chosen. Go back to editor. Let's go through the last couple of questions now. I'm going to go down here and pick scale. Scale is quite simple. All you have to do is ask people what their preference is from 0 to 5 or 1 to 8 or what have you on any certain topic. Okay, so now you can see that I've chosen already or told the students or the person participating in this form, submitting this form, here's what I want you to do. What do you think of this video? And now down here I can pick from my different scale types, so I can only start at 0 or 1, which kind of makes sense, I suppose. And I only have between 2 and 10 in this case. If I drop this down to 0 right here, you'll notice I still only have 2 to 10. So it's a little bit silly to go 0 and then pick, or go for 1 obviously. But I'm going to move it up to 1 and say 7. And now my labels are going to be my indicators on the bookends of my scales. So I can say, hate it, love it. There we go. Make it required. And when I hit done, that's what it looks like. Puts a bunch of little radio buttons in between with the numerical values that are represented in between there. I may want to give you may want to give your students some indicator and say pick 1 through 7. You can give them as much description as you want when you're asking people to fill out these forms, obviously. Here, let's go to the last one, which is grid. Grid is a very clever question type because I'm going to show you 2 different things that you can do with the grid educationally and informationally. So this is just one way that you can use the grid style. You fill this in, you say rate the following items. Your items are actually in the rows horizontally here, and I've put in math, science, reading, and physical education. Those are all of the categories that you're going to have people rate. And down on the bottom, the ratings can be each of the column headings. So they might hate mathematics. They might think, whatever, I don't really care about math. Or they might love math. And here's what it looks like after you hit done. You can see it's pretty simple. It's a lot like the scale up here, only you can gather information on more than one topic at a time, which is very, very nice. You just have to put in however many rating pieces you want up along top. You could even say, instead of hate, and love, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could have that same exact scale as above if you wanted to. So that's the first way to use grid. Let's take a look at the second way to use grid. The second way to use grid is to create a grid that functions like a matching game, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. All right, so I filled this in, and it says up here, pick the best matches, not just ones that kind of match. And here are my categories: Gmail forms, presentations, spreadsheets, and the things that they need to match them up with: collect, send, videos, and functions. And here's what it looks like on the outside. So now you can see people have to line up like a matrix here, basically, or like a multiplication table in some respect, which things line up. So you can see here, Gmail you would use to send information. I'm actually going to go to the live view here so you can take a look at how this would work a little bit better. So here I am in the live view. Gmail, you would send forms, you can collect data, presentations, you can add video, spreadsheets, you can insert functions. And that's how you would use the grid as a matching item. It would be genius if we could insert images in some of these areas, or voiceover pieces, things like that, audio pieces, but not yet. Hopefully down the road we'll be able to do that. But that's the basics of the different types of things or questions that you can actually add inside of Google Forms. That's the end of this very beginning part of Google Forms. Then the next sessions, you're going to start seeing how to manipulate this data, make the forms come alive, add themes, and those kind of things. But this is just how do we add all of the content.